Rwby is the worst show I have ever seen, and this isn't an exaggeration. I have never seen a show screw up so badly in such a huge colossal mess. No, I'm not one who grew up with this show, or grew up with Rooster Teeth. I don't really know what shows they made. I'm aware of Red vs. Blue, which is the show they were the most well known for, but I never watched it. I watched Camp, which I thought was a pretty good show, but then I was told there's this other show made by them, which is their most popular show called Rwby. And I also heard it's a really bad show, but I wanted to give it a chance because I was curious what this is all about. And oh boy, what an experience that was. Every time I watched a new episode, I told my friend like, hey, I'm watching another episode of Rwby, and she was like, no, don't, go watch Bleach instead, because around that time I was also watching Bleach, which is a really good show. A lot of people argue that the show was good and got bad later on. They say the show got bad after volume 3 or volume 5 or volume 7, but I thought the show was bad from the start. Volume 1 of Rwby is not very good. Despite the show showing potential, it falls short for how poorly written it is. Sure, a show can have bad animation, but bad animation doesn't save a poorly written story. The show is just riddled with plot holes, inconsistencies, awful world building, retcons, bad characters, and so on. If you were to ask me what I think is wrong with the show, my answer would be everything. There are some good qualities, sure, but the bad outweighs the good. There aren't as many good qualities as there are bad qualities. I mean, if you like the show, that's whatever. But saying the show is good is just not true at all, and it kinda baffles me considering the bad stuff are like so blatantly obvious. And over the years, it didn't seem like the show's writing has improved at all, which kinda baffled me cause I thought Camp was a pretty good show that had good writing. It seems like the writers of the show can't write serialized action shows and are better suited for smaller scaled comedy shows. I mean, the biggest reason for the show's existence is cause the creator of the show, Monty, just wanted to make a show with cool action.
Oh yeah. This is what I signed up for. My hands are sweaty. My boobs are sweaty.
I mean, sure, the action can look pretty good, but when it comes to writing a story, I don't think any of them knew what they were doing. The show starts off with this opening narration, and here lie the issues already. Despite this being an opening narration that should explain to us what this world is and how it works, it barely explains anything at all. The only thing it explains is that there are humans and unversed, and the unversed want to kill the humans. The humans have this thing called dust to fight the enemies, and that there are 4 kingdoms. That's all it tells us, which is very vague and not really enough information, despite the fact that this show has a lot of stuff that they expect the audience to buy into. For example, humans are not the only thing that exists. There's this other race called faunas that have animal traits, yet this narration never tells us about them.
Man, born from dust, was strong, wise, and resourceful.
This Saturday's fauna civil rights protest turned dark.
Another thing this opening narration should have told us is what these 4 kingdoms are, what they're called, and how they're different from one another. The whole volume never explains this, which is bizarre because usually the first season of any story is there to explain to us what this world is and how the mechanics of the world functions. Another thing this opening should have told us is what semblances and auras are, since those are like one of the most important mechanics in the show. I mean, Pyrrha does explain what aura is later on, but by the time she mentioned semblance, I had no clue what the heck she was talking about, and all I assumed was that they have magic. After this, we see this gentleman over here robbing a dust shop. One of the goons attempts to rob Rwby, and then she kicks their butts. And after that, she tries to go after them.
End of the line, Red!
Why is Rwby just standing there after Torchwick threw something at her, especially since Rwby has super speed? Glinda shows up and then she's seen to what I assume to be using dust. And from what we know, Glinda's superpower is telekinesis. There is no clear indication that she is using dust, and dust isn't exactly magic according to the show. We don't even know all the mechanics dust can do. From this scene, I guess I have to assume that dust can shoot lasers, summon a cloud that shoots icicles, and create a shield. We never really see those abilities really used again by anyone else. It has only been like 5 minutes and they barely told me anything at all. The only other character that uses glyphs is Weiss. We don't really get any clear rules and indications to what dust is used for and what kind of abilities it has exactly. Dust seems to be able to just do whatever the plot wants it to do without telling us beforehand what its abilities are. I sometimes give anime crap for having characters stand there and explaining what they're doing, but this is important information we have to know. This other lady shoots shoots fire, so we'd have to assume her superpower is being able to use fire. The only time she uses telekinesis is when she uses the rubble from the ground and shoots it back at the airship.
You're a huntress. Can I have your autograph?
I hope you realize that your actions tonight will not be taken lightly, young lady. You put yourself and others in great danger.
Wait, what? What exactly is Rwby getting scolded for? Some Randy came up to her and attempted to rob her and then she kicked her butts. Is Rwby not allowed to defend herself? I mean, she put herself in danger, but there was no one else she put in danger. I mean, the only thing I would scold her over is breaking the window of the shop and probably shooting her weapon around. But this isn't even mentioned by her at all. But how is that any different from Glinda shooting lasers and icicles, attempting to break the airship and possibly dropping on someone's house? What she says in this scene didn't really happen. I mean, yeah, she went after him, but if Rwby can fight, what exactly is the issue of her trying to stop a criminal? It's not like she knew he was running away to an airship and probably assumed he was just some thief.
Ruby Rose. So, where did you learn to do this?
Signal Academy?
They taught you to use one of the most dangerous weapons ever designed?
I mean, if it's an academy where she learns how to fight, it sounds pretty reasonable that she would learn how to use it, especially since she's the one who designed it.
Well, I'm kind of a dork when it comes to weapons. I guess I did go a little overboard in designing it.
And if she has 2 more years of training there before being able to go to a huntress school, then why is Osmond questioning this?
It's just that I've only seen one other scythe wielder of that skill before.
Oh. Okay. What does that have to do with anything? Are Rwby and Crow just the only scythe wielders in the entire world? What if there's another person that just happened to create a scythe? Would you then question the same thing?
You want to come to my school?
More than anything.
Well, okay.
So Rwby got accepted into Beacon already, and this is where we get also introduced to Yang, Ruby's older sister, and they're off to Beacon Academy. And that's pretty much episode 1. Well, off to a pretty weak start, but hopefully the other episodes get better. Right? In episode 2, they established that Rwby has a thing for cool new weapons and gets hyped every time she sees one, but the rest of the volume and the whole show just completely forgets this aspect of her character. We never really see her this excited to see new weapons again after this episode. Despite the characters having a great variety of weapons, we never see her again asking questions about them or anything. Especially when she gets to team up with Weiss later on, wouldn't she be curious as to what her weapon can do? They also show Yang having a bunch of new friends, but again, the rest of the volume and the whole show just completely forgets about them. It's as if they wanted to imply that Yang is like popular or something, but then afterwards they completely forget about that as well. Because we never see her hang out with anyone other than her own team and Team Juniper.
Why don't you go try and make some friends of your own?
But why would I need friends when I have you?
Well, actually, my friends are here now. Gotta go catch up. Can't see you. Wait, where are you going?
This was pretty much just an excuse to get Yang away from the scene, so she abandons her sister for no reason.
What are you doing?
Sorry.
Sorry? Do you have any idea of the damage you could have caused? This is dust, mined and purified from the Schnee Quarry. What are you, brain dead? Dust, fire, water, lightning, energy.
If you're so worried about something happening to the dust, then why did you take it out of the suitcase and start checking it around? And this is where we get introduced to Weiss. She's an a-hole and probably one of the best characters in the show. For some parts. And this is also where we get introduced to Blake, the worst character in the show. They both just F off and Rwby is all alone again.
Welcome to Beacon.
Hey, I'm Jaune.
Rwby.
We get introduced to Jaune, who is probably the second worst character in the show, and this is where we get to learn about him a little. And it's already apparent from this scene that he's kind of a dork and not very skilled. I quite like this interaction with them. It's not amazing or anything, but you know, it's nice having a scene where 2 characters just walk around getting to know each other a little. And then the episode just kinda ends. Okay.
How's your first day going, little sister? You mean since you ditched me and I exploded? Yikes, meltdown already? No, I literally exploded a hole in front of the school.
Hole? What hole? There was no hole. And then they're all gathered in this room. Boys and the girls. That's kind of weird. So Rwby notices Blake and Yang suggests that it would be a good idea if Rwby got to know her so she can be friends with her. Blake is like very mysterious and quiet, and Yang thinks she's a weirdo.
Yeah, this girl's a lost cause.
What's it about?
Huh?
Your book. Does it have a name?
It's about a man with 2 souls, each fighting for control over his body.
I love books. Yang used to read me every night before bed.
Yang used to read you books? That's kind of weird considering she's only 2 years older than you, but whatever. As you can see, it has been like 3 episodes and we haven't really learned all that much. I mean, one of the biggest issues this volume has is that the episodes are very short. Most of them are like around 4 to 7 minutes long, and some of the episodes are in parts. Why though? They just wanted to have 16 episodes but didn't have the budget to do that? I mean, if we combine these parts into one episode, then the whole volume would have only 8 episodes, which isn't really much of a show, especially an action show with some deep lore and stuff. Why couldn't they have 16 episodes be around 20 minutes? So in this episode we get introduced to those two. They do absolutely nothing. And then we get a scene of Yang talking to Rwby about how it's maybe better if she gets to be on someone else's team with new people, because she wants Rwby to get out of her shell more.
If you want to grow up, you're gonna have to meet new people and learn to work together.
You sound like Dad.
I just thought, I don't know, maybe it would help you break out of your shell.
But when they get teamed up later on, she seems very happy about it.
I'm so proud of you!
So like, what?
Each of you will be given teammates.
These teammates will be with you for the rest of your time here at Beacon. So it is in your best interest to be paired with someone with whom you can work well.
You see, this line would imply that they have a choice in who they can team up with, but then he says this.
That being said, the first person you make eye contact with after landing will be your partner for the next 4 years.
Which would imply that they don't have a choice in the matter. And even so, this whole rule of being teamed up with another person isn't really brought up again. Because after this, they're all teamed up with 4 people, and we never really get to see them working to some school projects in 2. So what exactly is the point of this whole thing of being teamed up with a person and then you stay with that person for the rest of the school years if they get teamed up in a team of 4? That's because the volume later on just completely forgets about this whole thing or anything related to teamwork. We don't really see this group working as a team and developing their relationship. I mean, Rwby and Weiss hate each other, but Yang and Blake do absolutely nothing. They don't get to know each other or anything. They don't talk about how Yang called her a lost cause. They don't get to do anything at all other than fight. So anyways, they all get launched in the air and land in the middle of the woods. And Rwby teams up with Weiss, but Weiss doesn't really want to team up with her. But after seeing Jaune, she changes her mind. Rwby all of a sudden is very enthusiastic about teaming up with Weiss, despite her previously not being keen on meeting new people.
You're about to see a whole different side of me today, Weiss. And after it's all over, you're gonna be like, wow, that Rwby girl is really, really cool. And I want to be your friend.
But then she F's off and abandons Weiss for like no reason. Didn't you want to be a team with Weiss? If you want to be her friend and show her how cool you are, then why did you just abandon her? Next we see Yang fighting some bear unversed, and then Blake shows up and they team up. Those two don't really interact at all throughout this whole thing. I mean, they walk around and say small things, but that's about it.
Think this is it? How about a cute little pony?
Sure.
You mean to tell me you develop Weiss and Rwby's relationship, but don't bother developing those two at all? So Weiss is surrounded by Unverse and then she starts off some super attack, but then Rwby gets in the way and she sets the trees on fire. Rwby and Weiss argue about how stupid they are. I mean, to be fair, Rwby, you did just ran away and completely abandon her for no reason, despite the fact you wanted to team up with her and show her how cool you are. How exactly can you do that when you're not even there? So Weiss had like no choice but to defend herself from the Unversed. After this we cut to Pyrrha, Mifra and Jaune. Pyrrha asks why Jaune didn't activate his aura after smacking his face, and cause Jaune is stupid, she explains to him what it is. It's basically a force field they can activate to protect themselves. Pretty much the show's excuse as to why the characters can take such heavy attacks. It's kind of weird that characters can unlock other people's auras like that. If that is the case, why doesn't everyone do it? Seems to be pretty useful for innocent people, especially when it's a world filled with monsters trying to kill you.
It's all right. I used my aura to unlock yours, but the energy that protects you now is your own. You have a lot of it.
What does that even mean? How can Jaune have more aura than other people? Does him having more aura even matter? I mean, he gets hit by the bear unverse later on, and then his aura is already low. How can he have more aura when the health bar is the same as everyone else? Does everyone have a certain number of aura? Can people increase their aura? Are there people who have less aura than others? You know, this stuff would have been nice to know in the opening narration. So Rwby and Weiss argue some more, and Yang and Blake arrive in this place and grab a chest piece. Pyrrha and Jaune go in this cave but accidentally unleash a scorpion unversed. But then in the next episode they just start off with Rwby and Weiss on an unversed. They never showed it prior to them getting on top of it, or showed us them getting on top of it. That's not how you write a story. You can't just have stuff happening off screen when we're supposed to be invested in what's going on and never explain it. And they just happened to find the temple thing. So not only do we have things happening off screen, we also just have blatant coincidences happening. Wow, it just so happened that Rwby and Weiss landed right where they needed to be after it just so happened to write an unverse out of nowhere. Congratulations, on to the next scene.
Did your sister just fall from the sky?
Yeah, Blake, falling from the sky is something very unusual and weird. Instead of asking if her sister fell from the sky, why not just have her simply ask, was that your sister? Was it for the funnies? Like, whoa, look at this random thing that just happened. If that's the case, then it's not really funny. And as if that wasn't funny enough for you, she does it 2 more times for no reason.
Did that girl just ride in on an Ursa? Did she just run all the way here with a Deathstalker on her tail?
Shut up, Blake. You're not funny. Why were Rwby and Weiss even worried about their fall to begin with? What happened to landing strategies?
Like, did you hand out parachutes for us?
No. You will be using your own landing strategy.
Wait, why did Jaune land before Weiss when they both fell at the same time? After this, Rwby is like, I'm gonna attack the thing myself. Why is she running away in normal speed? Don't you have super speed? Or heck, why don't you use your weapon to propel yourself forward like you did just a second ago? Oh, it's so Rwby can be in trouble so that Weiss can come in and save her. That's such BS. Hey, wait a sec, I thought Rwby was supposed to be the fast one. How is Weiss suddenly this quick?
Rwby has her speed. You have your glyphs.
You are so childish and dim-witted and hyperactive, and don't even get me started on your fighting style. And I suppose I can be a bit difficult, but if we're going to do this, we're going to have to do this together.
So Weiss just changes her mind about Rwby and they both make up for no reason? Especially after Rwby just left her on the unversed? This just comes completely out of nowhere. They were arguing with each other like a few minutes ago, now all of a sudden she's like, yeah sure Rwby, I'll be nicer and we're in this together. I thought you didn't care about her. An easy fix would have been her to go and save Rwby and saying that despite not liking her, she's not gonna let someone die. You know, to make it look like Weiss takes her job as a huntress very serious, even if the person she has to protect is a complete idiot. This whole reconciliation is just abrupt and that's not a good thing. That's not how you write a character. That's not how you write a story. Also, I think Nora is brain dead.
Look, there's no sense in dilly-dallying. Our objective is right in front of us.
She's right. Our mission is to grab an artifact and make it back to the cliffs. There's no point in fighting these things.
Run and live. That is an idea I can get behind.
If the whole idea was run and live, then why did they all decide to run to an open field where the bird can easily spot them? Where even is this place? Doesn't look the same as the place they were last time. If their plan was to make it back, why did they decide to run to this location? This place looks like a dead end, if anything. Why don't you run back to the woods where it's harder for the bird to spot you? I mean, you may have to deal with the scorpion, but that's one enemy less they have to deal with. I mean, if 4 people can beat it, then 8 versus 1 shouldn't be a problem. Have Weiss freeze it again. I mean, heck, the scorpion was paralyzed previously and it took a while to get out, so why did you all just gang up on it and kill it and then focus on the bird? What's stopping Weiss from freezing it again? What's stopping Weiss from doing this? Yang, why are you just standing there? Move. Rwby, why are you just standing there? Move. Oh no, the bridge is out. Man, if only you didn't run to an open area to this place where the bird can easily spot you.
Man, we gotta get over there.
What do you mean get over there? They should be going to your side. Heck, why don't they all make their way to the other side? Have Nora go to the other side and then catapult them all to the other location. Blake could even swing herself to the other side like she does later on. Actually, never mind. This place looks like a dead end anyways. So why did they think to run there at all?
There's no point in fighting these things.
Run and live. That is an idea I can get behind.
So much for run and live. Instead of suggesting to run and live, why don't you have Rwby simply say, we need to find a way to defeat both of them. But don't worry guys, Rwby has a plan.
I have a plan. Cover me!
Pyrrha!
Done!
I guess Pyrrha immediately guessed from Jaune just saying her name that she has to take down the yellow. Yeah, it seems about right. Again, if it can't be taken out by 4 people, why didn't they all just wait on it when it was paralyzed previously? There were like 8 of you. If the characters can't jump this high, then why didn't they just make it to the other side of the bridge?
Of
course you would come up with this idea.
Wait a sec, if this is Ruby's plan, that we never saw her discuss with the others, how did she know that Weiss has glyphs that can do this or this? We never saw her ask Weiss what her abilities are, nor has Ruby seen Weiss's glyphs. Whatever, don't think about it, look at the cool looking fight scene. How did Ruby know Weiss can do this? What exactly was her plan here? Wait a sec, how is Weiss doing this? Can everyone do this? Is she using her glyphs? There's no visual indication that she's using her glyphs. Is that what was happening previously? Was she using dust? Can dust make you go fast? Why don't you explain these mechanics?
Jaune Arc, Lai Ren, Kira Nikos, Nora Valkyrie. The four of you retrieve the white rook pieces. From this day forward, you will work together as Team Juniper.
Team Juniper? I thought this guy's first name is Lai. Everyone else uses their first name's first letter for the team name. I mean, everyone calls him Ren.
Nora?
Yes, Ren?
Why does everyone call him Ren? Isn't his first name Lai? Why did you name him Lai Ren? If you really wanted to name them Juniper, then why didn't you give Lai a more appropriate name? You'd think that a school that has records of everyone's names wouldn't just flip them around like this and would stay consistent. If anything, their team name should be Juniper. This makes no sense. Also, why exactly is Jaune being made the leader of the group? What exactly did Jaune do that would make him seem worthy to be a leader? You mean the one time where he told everyone to move?
We gotta move!
Even though it should be pretty obvious to them? Or the one time where he randomly called for Pyrrha's name?
Pyrrha!
Doesn't really seem leader material to me. I mean, I can understand Rwby being made leader because she actually came up with a plan. What did Jaune do? Nothing? Well, good enough for me, I guess.
Alright! Weiss, Blake, Yang, and their fearless leader Rwby have begun their first mission. Bonsai! Bonsai!
Hey, remember when Blake used to be this mysterious girl that is very quiet and doesn't really talk to people? Now all of a sudden she gets along really well with the others. Where did that come from? Weren't you annoyed by them previously? Development? What's that? We don't have time for that. You know, it's not like important or anything, especially in a show all about teamwork. So like the team go to class and we don't really learn anything new other than this kingdom being called Vale. What about the other kingdoms? I guess it's not important. Weiss gets annoyed over Rwby fooling around and Weiss wants to prove she's worthy of being a huntress. So they laid out an unversed in class and Rwby is telling her what to do and Weiss gets annoyed by it.
Weiss! Go for its belly! There's no armor underneath!
Stop telling me what to do!
She kills it and walks away. Rwby asks Weiss what's wrong and she tells her issues with Rwby.
What's wrong with me? What's wrong with you? You're supposed to be a leader, and all you've been so far is a nuisance. You've done nothing to earn your position. Back in the forest, you acted like a child, and you've only continued to do so.
Weiss, where is this coming from? What happened to all the talk about working together? I thought you believed in acting as a team.
Not a team led by you.
Which makes perfect sense. Not only is she a spoiled brat who gets everything she wants, but she takes her job as a huntress very serious. So it makes sense why she would be upset over Rwby being made leader and not her. They both even talked to the teachers about it, and they gave a pretty valid response.
With all due respect, your exceptional skill on the battlefield is matched only by your poor attitude.
How dare you?
My point exactly.
Wow, that's a great start to their development. I wonder how they're gonna pay it off.
Weiss, I was studying and then I fell asleep. I'm sorry.
How do you take your coffee?
Cream and 5 sugars.
Don't move. Here.
Thanks, Weiss.
Rwby, I think you have what it takes to be a good leader. Just know that I am going to be the best teammate you will ever have. Good luck studying.
What the fuck? Showing Rwby study in her bed doesn't automatically equal she's a good leader. Her saying, I think you have what it takes to be a good leader is very abrupt, and Rwby hasn't really proven herself to be a good leader. Also, Weiss made the coffee in like 2 seconds. The dialogue should have been, look Weiss, I know I act childish sometimes, but I will do the best I can to be a good leader. And Weiss can be like, I guess that remains to be seen, and I will try my best to be a good teammate. And after them saying that, that, the next episode should have been about them showing that they care about what they said, and we see them working together and struggling during like a school project or something. Or how about when they're out on some mission, make Rwby come up with some kind of plan, and that Weiss could suggest that, Rwby, that's not enough, we should at least come up with a plan B if anything goes wrong. And Rwby can be like, oh yeah, you're right, you know, to show that despite them promising to be good at their jobs, they can still struggle and grow as characters, and they resolve their issues in the end. Have them be like, you know, despite what happened, we still have a long way to go. But no, that's not what happens, because the next 4 episodes are all about Jaune learning to stand up for himself and not get bullied by Carden. You cannot be serious. You know, we could develop our 4 main characters in this volume, but no. We just have to make room for Jaune's bully arc. It's not like we could have done this in the next volume if you really wanted to. Especially since Yang and Blake haven't really done much in this volume. The volume should have just developed these 4's relationship and not waste our time with Jaune of all characters.
Mr. Ark, it's been weeks now. Please try to refer to your scroll during combat.
Refer your scroll during combat? That doesn't seem very efficient when I have to constantly check my health bar and take my eyes away from my opponent. Wait, why does Blake have 2 books under her table? So at this point in the story they want to introduce us to racism in Rwby. The faunas in the world are not being treated as equals with the humans. But the way you want to introduce us to this is with the bully character? How do we know if it isn't just Carden being a jerk like he is to literally everyone else? I mean, sure, it's racism, but I think you could have done a lot more than just have the bully character being a bully. Show some other people's being jerks. Also, that's very unrealistic of the show, cause if there was a bunny girl in your school, everyone would wanna date her. So Pyrrha wants to help Jaune, but then Jaune reveals that he faked his way into school.
I want to help you. We can train up here after class where no one can bother us.
I don't belong here.
That's a terrible thing to say. Of course you do.
No, I don't. I wasn't really accepted into Beacon.
What do you mean?
I mean, I didn't go to combat school, I didn't pass any tests, I didn't earn my spot at this academy. I lied. I got my hands on some fake transcripts, and I lied.
What? But why?
Because this is what I've always wanted to be. My father, my grandfather, and his father before him were all warriors. They were all heroes. I wanted to be one too. I was just never good enough.
Now that's a pretty weird thing for Jaune to state, cause his character actions throughout the show doesn't really reflect on him wanting to be a hero. If he really was this motivated to become a hero like his family, then how does he not even know the most basic thing like what aura is? He doesn't really talk about those heroes he looked up to, but I guess that one can be excused. He also sleeps through class? I thought he was invested in being a huntsman. Instead of having him nap during class, why couldn't you have him pay attention during class? Maybe show him struggling to understand some things. But even then, if he really wants to be a huntsman, then he should be more invested. He wants to be a hero, yet he doesn't know what aura is, he can't fight, he struggles during class, and doesn't really accept help even though he really needs it. Doesn't really make any sense.
Then let me help you.
I don't want help. I don't want to be the damsel in distress. I want to be the hero. I'm tired of being the lovable idiot stuck in the tree while his friends fight for their lives. Don't you understand? If I can't do this on my own, then what good am I? Just leave me alone.
If he wants to become a hero but lacks the ability to do so alone, then Jaune would want to get help. Carden just so happened to overhear them. His dorm just happens to be underneath where they're standing. And now he's using Jaune to do his busy work. Rwby and Jaune have this small pep talk which accomplishes absolutely nothing and is pretty stupid. I mean, I can't expect Rwby to be like a wise person considering she just started school and we haven't really seen her do much outside of being reckless.
I messed up. I did something I shouldn't have, and now Carden's got me on a leash and Hero won't even talk to me. I'm starting to think coming to this school is a bad idea. I'm a failure.
Nope.
Nope?
Nope. You're a leader now, Jaune. You're not allowed to be a failure.
You're not allowed to be a failure? So can a leader not fail in any way whatsoever? I mean, sure, a leader is expected to make good decisions and help their teammates to become better, but like... And I mean, just telling Jaune that he can be a great leader doesn't really accomplish much.
Your team deserves a great leader, Jaune. And I think that can be you.
considering he's bad at literally everything. I mean, sure, Rwby makes a good point that it's not just about you. You have a team to look after. But seeing as though Jaune sucks in everything, you can't really expect him to be a good leader if he hasn't really proven himself in any way. So that whole conversation accomplishes absolutely nothing. And despite Rwby talking about being a good leader, you know, it would have been nice if we actually got to see her be a good leader instead of wasting our time with Jaune. So during a school trip, Jaune is forced to throw this thingy at Pyrrha, because Carden thinks that Pyrrha sucks, but Jaune refuses to do so and he throws his jar at Carden.
You think talk like that makes you tough? You think you're a big, strong man now?
Wait, what just happened? Did Jaune activate his aura? Wait a second, why was his aura deactivated to begin with? Aren't you guys in an area filled with monsters?
Each of you is to gather 1 jar's worth of red sap. However, this forest is full of the creatures of Grimm, so be sure to stay by your teammates.
If their aura is being monitored through the scrolls, then why didn't Glinda tell Jaune to keep his aura activated? How did Carden even hurt his hand? Is his aura also deactivated? Why would you do this? Why don't the students have their aura activated 24/7? What if some weirdo comes in and kills you in your sleep and you don't have your aura activated? This is so stupid.
That's a big Ursa!
Did you guys hear that?
Ursa! Ursa!
What? Where?
Back there! It's got Carden!
Jaune! Yang, you and Blake, go get Professor Goodwitch. You two, go with them. There could be more.
Yes guys, have 4 people go and get Glinda. Why can't all of you go and help Jaune? I mean, if Carden and his group can take it on, then it might be really strong.
Okay, I think I have Glinda's number.
Why would you go and lower the numbers of people to try and fight that thing?
Crap!
Oh no!
Why do you guys just stand there while the Unverse is going after Carden? What if Jaune wasn't there to help him? Were you guys just about to let him die? Why is Jaune's aura already low? I thought he had a lot of it.
You have a lot of it.
But then Pyrrha uses her superpower to make Jaune put up his shield. Why does Jaune never question why his shield just randomly moved on its own?
What? How did you...
Well, Rwby has her speed. You have your glyphs. My semblance is polarity.
What?
Semblance? What's that? Man, would have been good to know about it in the opening narration.
Where are you going?
Yeah, we gotta tell them what happened.
We could, or perhaps we could just keep it our little secret.
Why would you want to keep it a secret from Jaune? I don't think him not knowing that his shield wouldn't just magically move on its own again is a good idea. Giving him false confidence could mess him up during battles. After this, Jaune apologizes to Pyrrha and asks her if she's willing to help him.
No Carden tonight? I thought you two were best buds.
Pyrrha, I'm sorry. I was a jerk. You were only trying to be nice and... I had all this stupid macho stuff in my head.
Jaune, it's okay.
I know I don't deserve it after all that happened, but would you still be willing to help me? To help me become a better fighter?
Wait, Pyrrha, what the heck are you doing? Why'd you push him from this side? If he stumbled and fell off backwards, he could have gotten hurt. So the next episode, we're finally back with the 4 main characters. Man, if only they got to develop them in meaningful ways during that time. The cops mention the White Fangs, and then Weiss gets all pissy over them. And Blake doesn't appreciate her being so negative towards this group.
The White Fang. What an awful bunch of degenerates.
What's your problem?
My problem? I simply don't care for the criminally insane.
The White Fang is hardly a bunch of psychopaths. They're a collection of misguided faunists.
Misguided? They want to wipe humanity off the face of the planet.
So then they're very misguided.
We even get introduced to a brand new character. How many characters does the show have to introduce? We already got Team Rwby and Team Juniper to worry about, who mind you haven't really done much during the show. And now we have to focus on some more characters. They even tried to chase after him and then just so happened to run into Penny. Seriously, enough with the characters. Why could you have done all that in volume 2? There isn't really much I can say about her other than she's a robot and acts a bit weird towards the other characters.
I'm here to fight in the tournament. Wait, you're fighting in the tournament? I'm combat ready. Forgive me, but you hardly look the part.
Says the girl wearing a dress.
Oh yeah? You're the one wearing heels. Weiss asks if she saw the faunus in racist banners, and Blake gets mad at Weiss for acting so racist.
The filthy faunus from the boat!
Why do you keep saying that?
Huh?
Stop calling him a rapscallion. Stop calling him a degenerate. He's a person.
Oh, I'm sorry. Would you like me to stop referring to the trash can as a trash can? Or this lamppost as a lamppost?
Stop it!
They argue like the whole day, and Yang and Rwby do like absolutely nothing to break the tension between them. Do they even care? During that argument, Blake even accidentally says that she was a White Fang member.
Maybe we were just tired of being pushed around.
But if Blake used to be a White Fang member and there was a good reason as to why she left, why is she then being so defensive over the White Fang when they're literally terrorists? That's pretty disgusting. So Blake runs away and then she reveals that she was a faunus all along. What's wrong with her ears? Why are they a different color from her hair?
I knew you would look better without the bow.
Does she? She looked a lot better with the bow, to be honest.
Son, are you familiar with the White Fang?
Of course. I don't think there's a faunus on the planet who hasn't heard of them. Stupid, holier-than-thou creeps that use force to get whatever they want. Bunch of freaks, if you ask me.
So Blake is fine with Sun insulting the White Fang, but wasn't okay when Weiss did it? I mean, we know she's racist, but the White Fangs are terrorists, and she was defending them for no reason.
That's right. I was a member for most of my life, actually. You could almost say I was born into it. Despite being promised equality, the faunus were subjected to discrimination and hate. And I was there. I was at the front of every rally. I took part in every boycott. And I actually thought we were making a difference. But I was just a youthful optimist. Suddenly, our peaceful protests were being replaced with organized attacks. So, I left. I decided I no longer wanted to use my skills to aid in their violence. And instead, I would dedicate my life to becoming a huntress. So here I am, a criminal hiding in plain view, all with the help of a little black bow.
So you were part of every rally and everything related to the White Fang? Wouldn't the police at that point have criminal records of you? How is wearing a bow gonna help? Isn't really much of a disguise when they can still see your face. And I mean, I don't really want to use outside material, but Blake was wearing the exact same outfit with the bow even before she left the White Fang. So how is her wearing a bow a disguise at all? This makes no sense. Blake should have been arrested at that point. So you give one of your protagonists finally some development after doing absolutely nothing for 15 episodes. So Blake and Sun find Torchwick, and for some reason Blake thought it was a good idea to intervene. Why does she think taking her bow off and try to talk to them would work to begin with? Would holding a sword around his neck even work? I thought he has aura. And later on in the fight she uses her sword to slice him and it doesn't do anything. What exactly was Blake's plan here? So now they start a fight and Sun jumps in to help. They do this thing where only one enemy at a time comes in, though I will admit this moment where he fights Torchwick with his shotgun nunchucks is really cool. Blake even uses her teleportation to get good hits on Torchwick. Penny even walks in and starts fighting. Torchwick got away. Weiss apologizes for being a racist because she developed her character off screen again.
Do you have any idea of how long we've been searching for you? 12 hours. That means I've had 12 hours to think about this. And in that 12 hours, I've decided I don't care.
You don't care?
You said you're not one of them anymore, right?
No, I haven't been since I was younger.
I don't want to hear it. All I want to know is that the next time something this big comes up, you'll come to your teammates. And not someone else.
And so volume 1 ends. Well, that's a pretty weak first volume. We get introduced to like so many characters and they all just don't end up doing much at all. Yang does nothing, Blake does nothing until the very end, Weiss gets rush development at the end abruptly, Pyrrha does nothing, Ren does nothing, Nora does nothing, Penny does nothing, Sun does nothing. Why do we have so many characters in one volume when every episode is this short and in parts? And also the 4 main characters haven't really been given any development as a team. What exactly did Yang do? What did Rwby do to be finally seen as a good leader? I thought Rwby didn't want to socialize. This show is just really poorly done. I mean, sure, I did have some fun watching it. There were some jokes that made me chuckle. Some of the fights looked cool. I think the songs made by Jeff and Cassie Williams are really good. But overall, the writing is what brings it down. And if you make the argument that they didn't have enough money or some crap, that's not really much of an excuse. I'm not the one who decided to make an action show with deep lore and stuff. If you want to make a show people should be invested in, then you should have started with properly establishing everything about your show and not half-ass it and think that's all we have to learn and either be like, we'll explain it later or we'll explain it other stuff, because that's not how you make a story, especially when this is supposed to be our introduction to this world. And I don't know, maybe the other volumes end up being better. Oh no.